Hey guys, today we're going to be learning a little bit about the most basic features of Photoshop and doing a quick little tutorial. You'll learn how to open multiple images, cut out portions of images and put them onto another one, and resize and adjust them to where you want, and of course to save all your work. What you're going to need for this is, of course, Photoshop and some kind of a search. So I'm using Google for my search engine. Please make sure you only use images that you have the rights to use, but you could just search for whatever it is that you want for your pictures. I'm actually going to take a picture of a big green field and then cut out a picture of a cute puppy and put it in the photo, and then a ball as well. So I've already searched for those items. So you just search for whatever you're going to. Let's look for green field. If you want to, and you saw I clicked on images after I did that, of course. If you wanted a specific type of green field, let's say you want a very large one for the background, you could go to Tools here on the right, Size, and change it to only large ones or only medium ones. Icons will be small. You could change your color selection. So if you only wanted black and white ones, that would limit it to mostly black and white ones. We don't actually want that though. You can also limit it to transparent in color, which is actually really useful. If it's been labeled correctly, it will make it so that the outline of everything is clear, it's transparent. So let's say there was a white box around this, or like you'll see with our tennis ball in a minute, we want it to be transparent. That's where that is, under Tools and then Color. There's also type of file, how recently it's been uploaded to the internet, and usage rights, which of course will help with you being able to find something that you are allowed to legally use. Let's look for tennis balls so I can show you what I mean about transparent quickly. So if we look up tennis balls to put in our picture of the green field with the dog and go to Tools, we can go to Color Transparent. And in theory, that should give us all options that when we click on them, let's use this one, have these bluish gray and white boxes around the outside, which means that this area of the photo is transparent. Only the ball is there. So it makes it much more easy to put it on top of another picture without having to cut out all the white space or any other color space or any picture that's around it. So keep that in mind. I've already gone ahead and downloaded the 3 photos that I'm going to use. So let's import them. Here's my blank canvas. Remember, when we open Photoshop, I will just show you. When you first open Photoshop, you want to go to, sorry, hang on, it's got to load. Since this is a beginning tutorial, I thought I should probably start even from the opening screen of Photoshop. I should have gone back so it was open for you guys. I apologize. So it starts like this, and on the left you have Create New if you didn't have your photos already, which is why I had a white box up before. I hadn't chosen my photos yet, so I didn't want to just open them. Or you can do Open if you've already found your pictures. So I'm going to go ahead and do Open this time. And I know this one that says Field is my field picture. So then that's open. I'm also going to open the other 2 photos that I want to use. So I'm going to go to File in the top left corner, Open again, and it's going to automatically make me a new tab for this puppy photo that I had already saved. There's my field photo still. And then I'm going to get a third one. I'm going to go again, File, Open, and get this one that I have saved as Toy, which is a tennis ball that is transparent around the edges. See how I was talking about the little grayish blue, depends on your monitor, and white checks, that means this whole area is transparent. So now I have these 3, but they're all on different tabs. So how do we get the puppy onto here? First things first, it's going to be this size, which is fine for our purposes. But if you want to resize it, please watch some of the other tutorials that I have on that will be coming up in tomorrow and the next day's tutorials. We're going to be doing one a day, but I just want to see it bigger so that I can tell what I'm doing. So I'm going to go down here to the bottom left-hand corner and I'm going to make it 300 as opposed to 100%. So it's now at, actually that's a bit big. Maybe we'll do 250. But make it to whatever size is a little more workable for you so that you can see it. It's not actually any bigger. If you were to print it out, it wouldn't be any bigger. It's just zoomed in so you can see it better. Now that we have that, let's go to our puppy. And I'm going to do the same thing to him so that I can see him a little better. I am going to do him 300% because he's very small. And he's going to be a little pixelated, but this is just a tutorial, so he doesn't have to be that great. Now we need to cut him out. First thing you want to do before you cut out your object is go over here to layers. If layers is not showing, you may need to click on it down here, or you may need to go up to window to look for layers. But I have my layers open already, and it says that this is a background and it's locked. Make sure that that's unlocked. And occasionally you will find a file that will not allow you to unlock it, in which case you're probably going to have to just choose a different one. If you've taken the photo yourself, you shouldn't have a problem. So I've unlocked it, which means I can make changes to it. If the lock was on, I would not be able to make changes. If I were to highlight an area and try to move it, it would give me the outline of whatever I was trying to move, but it would not have the picture in the middle of it. So if you're having that problem, make sure your layer is unlocked. I'm going to go to this third tool down. If you highlight or hover over it, it says Magnetic Lasso Tool. If you click on it, it may just say Lasso Tool for yours, depending on what you've used last. The Lasso Tool will help you kind of lasso around where you want. Magnetic Lasso Tool will try to predict what you want and kind of act as if it's magnetized. It will try to stick to the edge of it. So since this is a pretty clear edge between this dog, who's a very light yellow lab, and the green grass, we're going to try Magnetic Lasso. I'm not looking for it to look super awesome since, like I said, this is just a tutorial. But for an actual project, you would, of course, want it to look as good as possible. Oh, yeah, see, Magnetic Lasso doesn't even want to get his foot. Oops, now we've lassoed that poor puppy's face. I'm going to go up here to Edit, Undo Magnetic Lasso. You can always do Control Z. Control Z is your best friend in Photoshop, just so you know. So I am going to actually do regular lasso now that I've seen how it is. So let me right click and go to Lasso Tool. And again, it's still a tutorial, so I'm not going to spend an exorbitant amount of time on it. I don't want you guys to get bored watching me outline this cute little lab, but we do want it to look decent. So I'll go around his little hind leg here. When you're doing this, something to keep in mind is you have to make a complete object. It has to know what to cut out. So if you don't get quite back to the beginning point of your object, it won't give you the little cutout line to be able to move it or cut it out. Let me show you what I'm talking about because we're almost back up there. So you see where my starting point is, right at the top of this little puppy's head. I have to get all the way back to that. Now I'm not quite touching now. Oh, I was. Thought I wasn't quite touching. And if I hadn't been, it wouldn't have given me this little dotted line, but I guess I was actually touching the beginning of the line. So it knew exactly where I wanted to cut out. If I had just done like a C shape, it won't cut that out because it doesn't know, do you want it to go straight back up here? Do you want it to go way over here? It can't lasso it. So if you're not able to get this little dotted white and black line around your object, it's because you haven't quite completed a shape. I'm going to go back up here to this top move tool. And when you come back over your picture, you see how it's going to cut him out. I'm going to click on him. I'm holding, you see how he's cut out now, obviously. I'm still holding the button down. Keep holding, keep holding. I'm going to hover over the tab for the picture that I want to put him on. Keep holding, keep holding. Take him to roughly where you want and let go. And there you have him. I don't know why I keep saying him. He looks like a boy puppy. Who knows? Doesn't really matter. So there's our dog. Now he is a giant dog right now. So we need to learn to resize objects, but let's go ahead and get our tennis ball really fast before we do that. So we're going to come over here to this third tab that says toy. It should be pretty easy to magnetic lasso around this since the edge is transparent if you wanted to, but since the edge is transparent, you don't really need to. You could just take your lasso tool. In fact, I could just import it the way it is, but let's cut off a little of the extra space. So it doesn't matter that my line's all funky because it's transparent where those boxes are anyway. Here we go, and I've gotten all the way back to around to the beginning. Take my move tool, click on it, keep holding, go here, and drop it. Now my tennis ball is definitely not the right size. So let's actually resize that one first. We have 3 layers over here on the right. We have our tennis ball layer, our puppy layer, and the background layer, which is that green field. The background layer is locked so that we don't accidentally make any changes to it. I'm going to go ahead to the puppy layer and lock that as well so that I don't accidentally do anything to it while I try to resize the giant tennis ball. And I'm going to go back up here. Oh, sorry. Click on the layer you want to change, which is layer 2, the tennis ball layer. And then go back up here to edit, and you're looking for free transform. It's also Control T if you want the shortcut. It's roughly halfway down. It's right here. Free transform is going to take it, whatever layer you were on, and make those little boxes that you're used to for adjusting sizes of things. If I want to move it, I have to go back to the move tool. So now that it's a little bit more manageable, let me move it. Go back into free transform. And I don't have to worry about messing up my puppy because I locked that layer, so I won't accidentally click on him. And this tennis ball is going to have to be pretty tiny to look at least somewhat realistic. I could also turn the ball. So let's say I want the stripe more on the top. I could go down here with this little turn it whichever way I think is best. You can also warp it and do all kinds of things, which we'll get into in a later tutorial. Or, of course, you can look up tutorials online that I didn't make. There are tons of them. So let's get this back down to roughly the right size. Use our move tool. We'll move it down over here. And you notice that you can see the grass all the way around it. There's no white space around it, even though I did that sloppy cutout of it, because it is transparent around the edges. And we did that through our Google search. Now let's handle this puppy. Move up a little. So he's still pretty big too. Let's lock by going up here where the lock is on the right-hand side, our tennis ball layer, and unlock our puppy layer. And we can move him around, and we can do the same thing with him. Edit, free transform. Make him bigger or smaller. He's kind of ridiculously sized in this, but whatever. We can also turn him a little if we wanted to. Once you get him where you want him, oops. See how there's some green on his head and it's really noticeable that I didn't do a super good job cutting him out when it's up in the blue? Maybe I'll move him down a little so it kind of blends in with the trees. Yeah, there we go. Not quite so noticeable now. So there he is. A couple of other quick tips that are really basic. I know I already mentioned Control Z will undo the last thing you did. It's super helpful. Also, just like most programs, Control C is to copy and Control V is to paste. So those are pretty useful. And you can do, besides free transform, you can do a more traditional transform. So that would be something like flip horizontally. So you see how he was facing the other way. If you need to for your picture, let's undo that. You could also flip him vertically, which means he'd be basically standing on his head. There are a few other options in there as well. All of these. Warp is the one that people want to use most of the time. I think I should warp the tennis ball, this poor puppy. I don't really want to warp him, but I guess we can. So you can like pull him out there or pull him into here. It looks like he's in a funhouse mirror now. But that is useful for other projects. You won't really need it for this tutorial. And the last thing you want to do is make sure when you're all finished that you either flatten your layers, if you know what that means, or go to each layer and lock it. That way, when you save it, it saves it together. It doesn't split it up into 3 separate pictures, tennis ball, dog, and the background. And then you can save it however you're used to. I usually just go up to File and Save As. With Creative Cloud, it's going to give you the choice Save to Cloud Documents, which means it'll be accessible anywhere. You can open it up on different computers and stuff. Or you can save it on your computer, which means the actual device that's in front of you is where it's going to be saved. And if you're on a different computer, you will not be able to access it. I'm actually going to save this to Cloud Documents. Oh, you can see a previous picture I was working on where I was merging 2 people. And we will save this as field. And there we go. Now it's ready for us for next time. If you guys have any questions about the things I've covered, please leave them in the comments down below. Let me know if there's a specific thing on Photoshop you want to learn. I'm starting off with the absolute basics, but we will get a little more complicated in future videos. So I'm happy to take suggestions if there's something that you guys want to see. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.